And we are now on the 36th verse of Surat An-Nisaa. So the author says, starting with the word of God Almighty, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم واعبدوا الله ولا تشركوا به شيئا واعبدوا الله ولا تشركوا به شيئا, and worship Allah and do not associate anything with him. وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا, and to the parents have benevolence. Yani, treat the parents well. Be good to them in saying and action and spending on them when they are in need. Yani, do whatever your parents ask you to do or tell you to do as long as it's not haram. That's part of the good treatment of the parents. To actually do whatever they tell you to do, if it's not haram. Even if they told the man to cut his beard, he could cut his beard, even though that's disliked by itself. But out of obedience to the parents, it's rewardable for him. We'll see, insha'Allah ta'ala, other ayat of the Quran that command the good treatment of the parents and whatever details are mentioned there. But notice here that the command to treat the parents well came right after the command to worship Allah. Worshipping Allah is the greatest obligation. So for the command to treat the parents well to come right after that high priority obligation, highest priority, shows the importance of this good deed. So many Muslim children, subhanallah, I hope some of you are listening. So many Muslim children are not good to their parents, not patient with their Muslim parents. And even you say harmful things to your Muslim parents. You hurt their feelings. وَبِذِي الْقُرْبَى وَالْيَتَامَى وَالْمَسَاكِينِ وَالْجَارِ ذِي الْقُرْبَى, and to the near of kin. Be good to them also, the relatives. Stay in touch with them and give them a handout when they need it. وَبِذِي الْقُرْبَى وَالْيَتَامَى وَالْمَسَاكِينِ, and to the near of kin and the orphans. And here, like we said, orphan here, it's a loose translation because the yatim in Arabic is the prepubescent child whose father passed away. Prepubescent child whose father passed away. That's what's meant here in particular, even though we're using the word orphan. Treat them well also. وَالْمَسَاكِينَ, and the needy. وَالْجَارِ ذِي الْقُرْبَى وَالْجَارِ الْجُنُوبِ, and the neighbor who is a relative. So that's a very important status for you because the neighbor has an important status for you to recognize, and the relative has an important status for you to recognize. So what if the neighbor is a relative? وَالْجَارِ الْجُنُوبِ, and the neighbor who is not a relative. Or what this means, وَالْجَارِ ذِي الْقُرْبَى وَالْجَارِ الْجُنُوبِ, the close neighbor and the far neighbor, could mean the neighbor of blood relation, the neighbor who's a relative and the neighbor who's not a relative, or it could mean the close neighbor and the far neighbor. Because he might not be right next to your house, still your neighbor though. Like he's several houses down, he's still your neighbor. وَالصَّاحِبِ بِالْجَنْبِ, and the companion by the side. Treat them well too, meaning the wife, or a travel partner, or a peer in studying, or someone beside you in a session, or someone beside you in a masjid. Treat all of those well. وَبِنِ السَّبِيلِ, and the stranded traveler, whether he's a stranger or a guest. وَمَا مَلَكَتْ أَيْمَانُكُمْ, and those whom your right hands possess, yani your slaves. Treat them well too. It's recommended for you, if you had a slave, to feed your slave with what you eat, and to clothe your slave with what you wear, and to lodge your slave like you'd lodge yourself, and not to give your slave more work than he can bear, he or she. And if you do, then to help the slave. But the obligation is to give the slave the food of the slaves, and the clothing of the slaves, and the lodging of the slaves. إن الله لا يحب من كان مختالا فخورا. Surely Allah does not accept anyone who was arrogant, turning up his nose to his relatives and neighbors, and boastful about his merits and what he was given. الذين يبخلون ويأمرون الناس بالبخل. Those Jews who are miserly in their monetary obligations, and they command people with miserliness. They hate generosity, so they even dissuade others from charity. وَيَكْتُمُونَ مَا آتَاهُمُ اللَّهُ مِنْ فَضْلِهِ, and they hide what knowledge and money Allah has given them out of His grace. That's the case of the Jews. They hide knowledge, like how they hid Prophet Muhammad's description, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Yani, they knew who he was, and they were commanded by the Torah to support him when he appears. And they did not do that. Rather, they hid what they knew. وَأَعْتَدْنَا لِلْكَافِرِينَ عَذَابًا مُهِينًا, and we have prepared for the unbelievers a humiliating torture. وَالَّذِينَ يُنْفِقُونَ أَمْوَالَهُمْ رِئَاءَ النَّاسِ, and those who spend their monies to be seen by the people, the hypocrites, or the pagans of Mecca, yani, and anyone who's insincere. You know what's insincerity? Here's an ayah from the Quran that addresses the issue of insincerity. It's to do the good deed, seeking the praise of the people, seeking the people's respect, and seeking to be recognized, instead of doing it just for the sake of Allah, only for reward from God. The right intention is to do the good deed only for the reward of God, not for the praise of the people, not for the people to respect you. And it's not even permissible to want Allah's reward and to want the people to respect you. It has to be only wanting Allah's reward. Insincerity is a major sin, and you lose the reward of your good deed if you have insincerity. وَالَّذِينَ يُنْفِقُونَ أَمْوَالَهُمْ رِئَاءَ النَّاسِ, and those who spend their monies to be seen by the people. وَلَا يُؤْمِنُونَ بِاللَّهِ وَلَا بِالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ, and they do not believe in Allah, nor do they believe in the last day. وَمَنْ يَكُنِ الشَّيْطَانُ لَهُ قَرِينًا فَسَاءَ قَرِينًا, and anyone whose associate is the devil, and he does the devil's bidding, then what an evil associate is he. because the devil commands for miserliness and insincerity and every evil. So let me just back up here real quick to see something. Okay. So the previous ayat that we already covered last time, 34, 35, and what's before that, these were issues pertaining to the men and the women, the inheritance, marriage, when people have problems in their marriage, what to do, how should the man treat his wife when she rebels against him, and what should a couple do when they have problems in their relationship. We covered all of that. Yani, what I'm doing right now is just recapping so we can see the flow of information. So then we came to where we are, where we started today, and the ayah commands for worshiping Allah Ta'ala alone and treating the parents well and treating some other people well. All these people who are mentioned in this ayah. And then the ayah addresses, yani, discusses, uh, the misers, talks about those who are miserly with their money. And then talks about those who spend their money to show off. So there's the connection there. So الذين يبخلون الذين يبخلون ويأمرون الناس بالبخل. Those Jews who are miserly in their monetary obligations, and they command the people with miserliness. وَيَكْتُمُونَ مَا آتَاهُمُ اللَّهُ مِنْ فَضْلِهِ, and they hide what knowledge and money Allah has given them out of His grace. وَأَعْتَدْنَا لِلْكَافِرِينَ عَذَابًا مُهِينًا, and we have prepared for the unbelievers a humiliating torture. وَالَّذِينَ يُنْفِقُونَ أَمْوَالَهُمْ رِئَاءَ النَّاسِ, and those who spend their monies to be seen by the people. Well, who are those? Goes back here. The end of the 36th ayah. إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُحِبُّ مَنْ كَانَ مُخْتَالًا فَخُورًا. Allah does not accept anyone who was arrogant and boastful. الَّذِينَ يَبْخَلُونَ, those who are miserly. وَيَأْمُرُونَ النَّاسَ بِالْبُخْلِ, and they command the people with miserliness. Allah does not accept them. وَيَكْتُمُونَ مَا آتَاهُمُ اللَّهُ مِنْ فَضْلِهِ, and they hide what knowledge and money Allah has given them out of His grace. He doesn't accept them. وَأَعْتَدْنَا لِلْكَافِرِينَ عَذَابًا مُهِينًا, and we have prepared for the unbelievers a humiliating torture. وَالَّذِينَ يُنْفِقُونَ أَمْوَالَهُمْ رِئَاءَ النَّاسِ, and those who spend their monies to be seen by the people, Allah does not accept them. وَلَا يُؤْمِنُونَ بِاللَّهِ وَلَا بِالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ, and they do not believe in Allah nor in the last day. So these are even kuffar here. Because if you just to show off only, that doesn't make you a kafir. But these that are being mentioned here, they didn't only show off, they don't believe in Allah. And they don't believe in the last day. So that means they're kuffar. وَمَنْ يَكُنِ الشَّيْطَانُ لَهُ قَرِينًا فَسَاءَ قَرِينًا, and anyone whose associate is the devil, then what an evil associate is he. وَمَاذَا عَلَيْهِمْ لَوْ آمَنُوا بِاللَّهِ وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ, and what harm would it have done them had they believed in Allah and the last day? وَأَنفَقُوا مِمَّا رَزَقَهُمُ اللَّهُ, and had they spent from what Allah provided them. Yani, this wouldn't do them any harm. So what stops them from embracing Islam? Just that they don't want to obey God. They would rather do what they want to do. That's the case of some people. You know what some people say? They say, I heard this from more than one person, kafir person. Uh, they say, this prayer that you do, it's so repetitive. You keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. And what they're saying is, it doesn't seem right to me. I don't like it. I don't think that's the way you should pray. Why should you pray that way and keep doing the same thing over and over and over again? So why would somebody say something like that? Because he's more concerned about what he wants to do. He's not asking himself, is this the prayer that God has prescribed? Has God indeed prescribed for me to pray the same way over and over and over again? Because if he did, then I want to obey God and do what he commanded me to do. So why they don't go there? Because really they don't want to. They prefer to do what they want to do. They don't prefer to do what God commanded them to do. وَمَاذَا عَلَيْهِمْ لَوْ آمَنُوا بِاللَّهِ وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ. What harm would it have done them had they believed in Allah and the last day? وَأَنفَقُوا مِمَّا رَزَقَهُمُ اللَّهُ, and had they spent from what Allah provided them. وَكَانَ اللَّهُ بِهِمْ عَلِيمًا, and you are under threat. Allah was in eternity knowledgeable about them, and he shall recompense them for what they have done. إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَظْلِمُ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ. Surely Allah does not do a particle's weight of injustice. Or Allah does not do a small red ant's weight of injustice. He does not deprive anyone of any earned reward, and he does not charge anyone with a sin that he doesn't deserve. But no matter what he does, he's not unjust. This is what you have to take away from this issue. Regardless, Yani, how do we explain that he doesn't do a particle's weight of injustice or a small red ant's weight of injustice? He doesn't deprive anyone of any earned reward, and he does not charge someone with a sin that he doesn't deserve. Okay, that's true. What if he did deprive someone of a reward that he earned? And what if he did charge someone with a sin that he didn't deserve? He still wouldn't be unjust. Injustice is impossible to attribute to Allah. Injustice is only confirmed for someone who has a commander and a forbidder. Injustice, or zulm in Arabic, zulm we usually translate it as injustice. Zulm in Arabic is to do in another's dominion what he does not accept. To do in another's dominion what he does not accept. That's zulm, injustice. Or injustice is to disobey the command of someone who has the right to command. To disobey the command of someone who's entitled to command. Or zulm is putting things out of place. None of that is possible to attribute to Allah Ta'ala. وَإِن تَكُ حَسَنَةً يُضَاعِفْهَا, And if it is a believer's good deed, if that particle's weight is a believer's good deed, or if that red ant's weight is a believer's good deed, Allah multiplies it from 10 to beyond 700 times. Yani, you do one good deed, you get 10 rewards at least. وَيُؤْتِ مِن لَّدُنْهُ أَجْرًا عَظِيمًا, and he gives from himself an unmeasured grand reward. فكيف إذا جئنا من كل أمة بشهيد وجئنا بك على هؤلاء شهيدا. فكيف إذا جئنا من كل أمة بشهيد وجئنا بك على هؤلاء شهيدا. So how will the circumstance of the blasphemers be when we bring from every nation a witness, which is their prophet, to testify against them for what they did? And then we bring you, Muhammad, against those believers and disbelievers of your nation as a witness. Okay, so this translation says against. And the Arabic word is ala. So usually, if you say shahida alayhi, means testify against him. And if you say shahida lahu, it means testify for him. So that's why the word against is here, because of ala. وَجِئْنَا بِكَ عَلَى هَؤُلَاءِ شَهِيدًا, and we bring you, O Muhammad, over those people as a witness, or against those people as a witness. يَوْمَئِذٍ يَوَدُّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا وَعَصَوُا الرَّسُولَ لَوْ تُسَوَّى بِهِمُ الْأَرْضُ. On that day, those who disbelieved and disobeyed the messenger would love had the earth been leveled with them. They would love to have been buried, or they would love to have never been resurrected, and that they were still one with the earth. Or they would love that they could turn into soil like the animals. Like what you know from Surat An-Nisaa. The kafir will say, woe is me, if only I were dirt. He wishes that he could turn to soil like the animals. But he won't turn to soil, rather he will enter hell. وَلَا يَكْتُمُونَ اللَّهَ حَدِيثًا, and they shall not hide from Allah a single word. They will be unable because their limbs will testify against them. يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تقربوا الصلاة وأنتم سكارى حتى تعلموا ما تقولون. O those who believed, do not approach the prayer while you are drunk, until you become sober and know what you are saying. While you are drunk from wine, and some said while you are drunk from sleep, until you become sober and you know what you are doing. That means, and you know what you are saying. That means you know what you are reciting in the prayer. There is a hadith that the Prophet ﷺ, he said, if one of you were drowsy while praying, Let him finish his prayer, what he's right now involved in. Let him finish that, and then let him sleep until his sleepiness goes away, and then he can resume his prayer, his praying. Because the Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, if you sleep while you're drowsy, then you don't know. You would want to seek forgiveness, and you would be damning yourself, cursing yourself, sending curses upon yourself. Because while you're sleepy, you might not know what you're saying. وَلَا جُنُبًا, nor pray while sexually impure by intercourse or ejaculation. Uh, so here, لا تقربوا الصلاة وأنتم سكارى, do not approach the prayer while you are drunk. ولا جنبا, nor while you are junub. Don't approach the prayer while you are sexually impure by intercourse or by ejaculation. So there's your proof from the Quran that you can't pray while you're junub. إلا عابري سبيل إلا عابري سبيل حتى تغتسلوا, except those passers-by, those travelers not finding any water, and thus they make tayammum. حتى تغتسلوا, until you have bathed. He said one is still obligated to pray while intoxicated, just doesn't receive reward like if he is tipsy, as they say. I don't know what's the case of his reward. As long as he's sane, he has to pray. And this ayah is not saying you can't pray if you have some effect of wine. If you have yani, if you are experiencing some effect from the wine or the like. This ayah doesn't mean you can't pray if you're feeling like that. You're gonna have to pray if you're still sane. That's due to other proof anyway. If you're sane, you have to pray. So that's how some people they misunderstand this ayah here. They say, no, you can't pray while you're drunk or while you're high or something like that. You tell them, if you are sane, because don't forget, you say to that person, don't forget, sometimes a person might take some substance or some narcotic. Doesn't mean he becomes crazy. He's still sane. Can't he, for example, he might take something, some narcotic or the like, and can't he still drive his car? Yeah, and he go to the market and go shopping for groceries and everything like normal people? Yeah, he can. So why he can't pray? He has to pray too. Illa abiri sabil, except those passers-by, the travelers not finding water, yani, and therefore they make tayammum. So those who are traveling and they don't find water, so they make tayammum. What does that have to do with being junub? because you know that tayammum does not lift the religious impurity. If you are muhdith, that means you need to make wudu. Or you are junub, that means you're sexually impure. And then you made tayammum, you're still religiously impure. Tayammum does not lift your hadath, your religious impurity, not the small one nor the big one. All the tayammum does is enable you to pray. It allows you to pray. It makes prayer permissible for you, but it does not lift the religious impurity. So, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, O those who believed, La taqrabu salata wa antum sukara. Do not approach the prayer while you are drunk. Hatta ta'lamu ma taqulun. Until you become sober and know what you are saying. Wala junuba. And do not pray while sexually impure. Yani, do not approach the prayer while you are sexually impure, which is going to be by intercourse or ejaculation. Illa abiri sabil, except those who pass by. Yani, those who are travelers not finding water. Those who are junub, but they are travelers and they don't find water. So they're going to make tayammum and they can pray despite their religious impurity. That's one way to interpret that. It was said that this verse refers to going to the places of prayer while junub. One can pass through the door of the masjid and leave through another door without stopping. So that's another interpretation of this ayah. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, O those who believed, La taqrabu salata wa antum sukara. Do not approach the prayer while you are drunk. Hatta ta'lamu ma taqulun. Until you become sober and know what you are saying. Wala junuba. Nor approach the prayer while you are junub. Here, the other interpretation is don't enter the masjid. Don't approach the prayer while you're drunk, nor while you're junub. While you're junub, don't enter the masjid. Illa abiri sabil, except those passing by. That means except those who enter the masjid from one door and without stopping, and then they go out from another door. That's another way to interpret this ayah. Hatta taghtasilu, until you have bathed. Then you can approach the prayer. وَإِن كُنتُم مَّرْضَىٰ أَوْ عَلَىٰ سَفَرٍ. And if you were sick in a way that water is harmful, or you are impure while on a journey. وَإِن كُنتُم مَّرْضَىٰ أَوْ عَلَىٰ سَفَرٍ. And if you are sick or on a journey. If you are sick, then that's a scenario where you wouldn't be able to use water. If if we were to suppose that someone could not use water, why would that be? It would be because, most likely, because he's sick. Unless the water is harmful, then that's like being sick. أو على سفر. And when would someone not be able to find water? Okay, the one who's sick can't use the water. He can find it, but he can't use it. But when would someone not be able to find water in the first place? Usually that's going to be while he's on a journey, while he's traveling, not while he's still in the city. Who makes a city without any water around? Who builds a city without access to water? Yani, not usually. Usually, if you're in a town, there's going to be water. So usually, if you can't find water, it's going to be because you're traveling. So these are the two broad reasons that validate making tayammum. وَإِن كُنتُم مَّرْضَىٰ أَوْ عَلَىٰ سَفَرٍ. And if you were sick or on a journey, أَوْ جَاءَ أَحَدٌ مِّنكُم مِّنَ الْغَائِطِ. Or one of you came from the low, tranquil place of solitude for relieving oneself. Yani, you came from the bathroom. Or if you came from the bathroom, yani, you're impure. You lost your wudu. If you had wudu, you went to the bathroom and you lost it. أو لامستم النساء, or you have contacted the women. If you contacted the women, yani, if you touched their skin, it's going to break your wudu. According to a Shafi'i, if you touch their skin or they touch your skin, it's going to break your wudu, whether it's by mistake or on purpose or lawful or unlawful. So that's going to break your wudu. Now you're impure. Or this could even mean أو لامستم النساء, or you had sexual intercourse with the women. Then you're definitely going to be impure also, but yani, you're going to need a ghusl. If you just touch their skin, you're going to need wudu. But if you had intercourse, then you're going to have to take a ghusl. فَلَمْ تَجِدُوا مَاءً, but you did not find water after searching, except for someone who's sick. The sick one doesn't have to look for water, because even if he found it, he couldn't use it because he's sick. فَتَيَمَّمُوا صَعِيدًا طَيِّبًا, then seek pure soil. فَتَيَمَّمُوا صَعِيدًا طَيِّبًا, then seek pure soil. So, أو جاء أحد منكم من الغائط, or if one of you came from the low, tranquil place of solitude for relieving oneself, which we're going to call, just to be simple, if one of you came from the bathroom. But the gha'it here in the ayah doesn't mean the bathroom like the way we say bathroom. The gha'it means like what I've translated for you here. The low, tranquil place of solitude. That means in those old days, someone would go away from the people far enough that they couldn't hear him or her when he relieves himself. And that place would be yani, a place of solitude where he relieves himself. So that's called gha'it. But I'm just trying to keep it simple for you. That's why I'm saying, or if you came from the bathroom. أو لامستم النساء, or if you contacted the women, whether that means you touched them and so you lost wudu, or you had sexual intercourse and now you need a ghusl. فَلَمْ تَجِدُوا مَاءً, but you did not find water after searching, except for who was sick. The sick one doesn't have to search for the water because he couldn't use it even if he found it. فَتَيَمَّمُوا صَعِيدًا طَيِّبًا, then seek pure soil. According to Ash-Shafi'i, Sa'id, not Sa'id, Sa'id with a Sad. Sa'id is only soil, dusty soil. So you're going to make tayammum when you are impure, or you can't, yani, when you're impure and you can't find water or you can't use water. How do you make tayammum? فَامْسَحُوا بِوُجُوهِكُمْ وَأَيْدِيكُمْ, wipe your faces and your hands with soil. So tayammum most resembles wudu, because in wudu you wash your face and you wash your arms, but you don't stop there. You wipe your head and you wash your feet. Tayammum, you wipe your face like the one who makes wudu washes his face, and you wipe your arms like the one who makes wudu washes his arms, and that's it. That's the whole tayammum there, with the intention, of course, and with all the proper rules. When I say that's the tayammum, means that's the apparent tayammum. In Allah, I was going to say something. Tayammum most resembles wudu, but you're going to make tayammum even if you need a ghusl, but you can't find the water or use the water. You're going to make tayammum like what's mentioned here in the ayah. So the tayammum replaces wudu and it replaces ghusl, and whichever one it's replacing, you do it the same way, is the point that I'm trying to make to you. فَامْسَحُوا بِوُجُوهِكُمْ وَأَيْدِيكُمْ. Then wipe your faces and your hands. إِنَّ اللَّهَ كَانَ عَفُوًّا غَفُورًا. Surely in eternity, Allah was pardoning by facilitating and forgiving the sin and the negligence. Wallahu a'lam. We'll stop there. Any question? He said, not sure if I misheard, but you might have had a slip of the tongue when you recited the verse. وَيَقُولُ الْكَافِرُ يَا لَيْتَنِي كُنْتُ تُرَابًا. Maybe I did. What did you hear me say? Saqala? Okay. If I said qala, then it wasn't a slip of the tongue. It was just a blunder. Slip of the tongue is when you mean to say one thing, you say something else. Subhanallah. A lot of times, some brothers and sisters are, when they hear somebody say something, they're looking for an excuse for that person. So they're saying, I heard this from more than one person. Did you have a slip of the tongue? Somebody just asked me that today. And somebody asked me that not too long ago, too. Subhanallah. So, yani, a lot of times a person really say what he wanted to say. It wasn't a slip of the tongue. Yani, so that's what I said. That wasn't a slip of the tongue. I was just wrong. Barakallahu fikum. Any question?